is the implementation plan? What's next? Because as he said, that's really where the branches, the leaves, and hopefully the fruit of this policy would start to emerge. So I just wanted to touch on a few of the issues that were raised during the presentation, where some of you would have actually sought some interaction from Mr. Ince. This is the whole question. Firstly, and this is my observation, one of the areas where you had looked at the focal points, I think there were 7 focal points that you had. Entrepreneurship was one. And just a comment on that, because I didn't see there was a specific bullet or item dealing with local ownership. And I was wondering if there could be a marriage of that particular point on entrepreneurship with an emphasis on local ownership. Because I think, Brian will probably add to this a little later, local ownership of the investment in this new energy infrastructure is going to have some significant bearing in terms of the overall balance of the national economy, in terms of foreign exchange outflow or even capital retention as the economy grows. So I just thought that that could be a potential place we could look at. The whole question of the energy efficiency targets, I know there has been some discussion on that, so I'll expect some more detail and feedback from you. Not particularly just in terms of looking at what has been identified in relation to the building and construction industry, but also on the demand side end as well, and what sort of national initiatives that we, as some of the stakeholders, can actually try to have detail going forward into that implementation plan. And I think one of the key things that would have been raised recently in some private discussions that we would have had is the whole question of creating some sort of tool or mechanism where we can analyze energy efficiency vis-a-vis growth in energy demand, because you would want energy demand to grow, but you would want it to grow efficiently. So there would need to be some mechanism that can distinguish those two features, maximizing and improving our energy efficiency while simultaneously there's energy efficient growth in demand for energy. If you just look at it in terms of probably transportation, industry, and also electricity generation. One of the thoughts that I would also like to throw to try and flesh your discussion, and I think some of you would have touched on it, and this also features in the questions that Mr. Franklin and Mr. Hope would have identified, and I think Mr. Hines as well, is the whole question of having flexibility in the policy. We've set a 20-year continuum, we've identified some matrix and some technology sources, but what if we have a big light bulb moment globally in 5 years' time and new technologies emerge, or there's a whole fundamental change, or being a bit humorous here, some aliens visit us and offer us some new technology. The question is, we need to possibly explore, and this is just an idea I'm throwing out, to have some sort of market entry mechanism for new technologies, where from inception as part of our implementation strategy, we can identify if new technology emerges, what are the key factors that we need to identify and address for that technology to fit into the existing energy mix. And that would require some technical analysis, look at the regulatory impact it would have in terms of the costing of compensating for making this investment in this new technology, which is something that will be the purview of the regulator. And the whole question of how you're going to fit that new technology into the existing licensing regime. So I think that's one suggestion that I would just throw there that we can possibly explore. And I think there was a point there in terms of the whole question of identifying or measuring the dollar value, or what do we derive from each unit of energy produced, how much energy is required to produce $1 US. And I think just to toss out some specifics to you in that regard, if we can look at the tourism sector, which is a highly energy intensive sector, is our largest sector. We can manage, we can use that as an easy sector to identify where, if we can improve our energy efficiency in that sector, how we can see how that correlates to the dollar value or the productive capacity of that sector in terms of generating foreign exchange. So that's just one sector that we can look at in terms of explaining, I think, that useful measure that day, Mr. Ince and Mr. Haynes will be introducing the policy. So, as I said, that's really my opening salvo, and is ready to take questions from you. The mic is there in the middle, and let's try and make our questions as concise and to the point so we can have a rich discussion.
Yeah, I think you can hear my voice quite better from down there, but one only quick question for Brian. And you touched on the tourism sector. My understanding from different people is that pressure cooling and refrigeration is one of the key and the biggest costs in the tourism sector. Regards to whether it's a small restaurant in Gap or wherever, okay? The question then, Brian, is how do we, I've heard the minister speak at our conference last year in November about the need for a smart fund for specifically tourism sector, okay? Now we all know that environmental people don't have money regards to whether they're hotels, regards to whether individuals, they don't have the money to invest, it seems to me, in the sectors. The question then is how do we translate this whole question of these goals in terms of sales, and look at the tourism sector, how can we implement the policy or whatever in a tangible way that we can provide the tourism sector with that competitive edge, that advantage, that reduction in the operating costs, and help them be more robust in terms of being able to attract more repeat visitors and that sort of. How can we tangibly make the policy and implementation work at that type of level?
I would have to be a bit and chime in here, because I think what you're touching on is the cross-cutting issues, not only in tourism, but also in agriculture, waste management, water is another serious area. Within the policy, we have identified a range of measures and objectives for energy conservation, energy efficiency, and assisting investment and creating the environment. Now, that is the broad policy direction, the course of action that we want to take. But then we have to make it a reality. It doesn't happen by celestial speak. We have to now put the effort, put the actions into place that will advance that. So over the next, well, after you heard the PI said that he would like to have this before the cabinet and approved hopefully by the end of August. I think that is what you heard. We want to work on terms of reference, to bring in resources that assist us, in the action planning aspect, where we take the broad action, the broad course of action that we've identified on the cost-cutting measures, and come to discuss, to pull in what Dr. Ince is speaking of in developing the clear, specific actions now that we need to implement the policy. And that is how I think that we can do it in a tangible way. But I must say, we cannot do it by celestial speak. We can't utter it and it happens. We have to make it work. And in order to make it work, we the sector, and I put the energy division as part of the sector, and when I say the sector, I mean the energy sector, has to come together and bear the burden with government, bear the burden of the other sectors, so that we can move it forward. We also have to work with our international partners. Indeed, part of the policy speaks also to an international agenda for energy, and to make sure that we identify partners that can help us in specific areas, in getting resources, because at the end of the day, we cannot make it happen unless we get the appropriate resources. So I don't know.
Yeah, just to add to that, I think it's a good point. And getting back to this whole collaboration and this grouping of people that we want to be involved in the policy, I think tourism sector is going to be key in that. Because if they're aware, again, awareness I think is important here of what we're doing, then they can look and see how they can apply it best in that sector. And then maybe then the resources that you need for it can also come forward. I mean, I know that I've done some work here also in St. Lucia on the tourism sector. And a lot of times, there's also competitive advantage that you can get from being able to market that, okay, that you've got sustainability in the industry. That itself can make you a competitive as an island to bring more tourists here. So there are benefits that can come right through the system, but it's just a matter of that we identify these key stakeholders here to bring them on board, because often we've not really had these groups around the table, at least not in a big way. I don't know if that answers your question. I want to add to that.
William, wait, Mr. Warren first had a question, and then we follow up with you with next.
I am a civil servant, I am Rasta.
Colleagues, I apologize for being late, and I also wish to thank you for inviting the Chamber of Commerce and Industry to participate in this exercise. Honestly, I haven't fully read the entire document, but I've participated in a number of meetings since I joined the Chamber, and I wanted to just do a couple of things. Indicate that the Green Committee would have met recently, led by our chairman, Jim Young, and we would have agreed on the composition of that Green Committee and how that Green Committee would engage its partners in the immediate to medium term. So, yeah, the Chamber through our Green Committee look forward to working with RIA on all the matters arising from this policy. And I just had a discussion with Mr. Griffith and other related policies that would have an impact on the sector. With respect to the policy in and of itself, I want to categorically put on the table that the Chamber of Commerce and Industry supports the policy for having 100% renewable energy efficient. And sorry, the objective of making Barbados 100% renewable energy efficient. And what I would suggest is that we ensure that this objective be at the core of any discussions going forward affecting the economic development of this country, including the discussions that will come on the medium-term strategy, including the discussions that will come starting July 31st on an industrial policy for this country and so on. So I strongly recommend that coming out of this meeting that we indicate that this objective of becoming renewable energy and energy efficient must go beyond the policy and the action plan. The action plan must deliberately now target those are the areas of discourse on national policy and ensure that this objective is at its core. Then it will affect our industrial policy, it will affect our trade policy, it will affect disaster management policy, and everything else. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's a point there. Thank you.
I think that's accepted by the panel. I don't know if William wanted to defer to Mr. Griffith.
The energy policy, I would like to congratulate the team and the consultant in terms of taking us to this point. And also the General Secretary is very keen for us to move forward here. Is everyone hearing? Okay. The mic is on. I don't need the mic. I don't need the mic because I'm saving energy. So I'll repeat by saying that congratulations to the team to taking us forward to this point. Brian, Rhea, David, and of course the Permanent Secretary and his team, Merriman and ladies. This energy policy is like dozens of candles, dozens points of lighting our way into the darkness as we try to reach forward towards achieving our sustainable energy goals. But as an individual with an aging memory, perhaps with my two hands I can only carry two of these points of inflection, two of these ideas, two of these issues in order to light my way into my darkness if I were an entrepreneur trying to move forward in my path. So I'd like to ask those at the table, if each of you can give me in less than 30 seconds, 2 points, 2 candles that each of you believe are quintessential to our journey forward. Not because all the other points of light are not important, but because perhaps in 2017 my grandmother may not be able to carry as well, or perhaps because many people who you have to communicate this policy to may want to have it in some succinct 2 or 3 points. So my question is, can each of you give me 2 deal-making issues that will key to our current success that have to be part of our future? Thank you.
I usually get some time to revise for exams. I just want to answer questions like that. But I'll go first quickly straight off the cuff. And it's really just historical comment. The earlier point I would have made in the opening about creating as part of the implementation strategy a market entry mechanism for new technologies, I think that is a critical component going forward. Because that is really the mechanism that is going to ensure that there's flexibility in terms of how we progress over the next 20 years, so that we're not just stuck to the writing on a piece of paper once this document is approved by cabinet. That mechanism will provide some flexibility and identify who are the parties and players that need to act if somebody comes in, as I said, with some new celestial technology or whatever. That's just specific there. I think going back even further, 2 years ago, BREA would have submitted a document to the Energy Division recommending a facilitation and implementation strategy. And that document was specifically crafted coming out of the Barbados Light and Power's Renewable Energy Integration Study, where we said there were key agencies that now needed to be brought on board and brought up to speed as to what their roles would be in giving effect to those new potential targets that were set, specifically for renewable energy, intermittent renewable energy expansion. And I think that mechanism, in terms of a facilitation and implementation strategy, now needs to be expanded to this whole implementation policy covering energy as a whole. These are the non-renewable or non-intermittent technologies. In other words, you need to engage with agencies like the Town Planning Department so that there's a timelier, more certain and transparent process in terms of what are the requirements. I should not be applying for a solar farm or some solar project or some energy project on the same application form as though I'm trying to build a chattel house or a wall bungalow. There should be a more systematic and more informed, what you can say, guidelines as to what I'm required to do to speed up the 6 to 12 to 18 to 24-month process. So those are just 2 of my quick comments in relation to that.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, it's interesting. You know, I guess it's like art. You know, people take away what appeals to them. But for me, collaboration, entrepreneurship, sustainability, those are the things that come to mind most. And collaboration, this is what we have here. More of this, more of getting together with your ideas with other people to make that innovation happen. And that's what's going to lead to that entrepreneurship. That's what's going to lead to the business. That's what's going to lead to Barbados being a leader in that area. And the sustainability, the whole environmental aspect, that global aspect, that we are part of a world that has to deal with our climate change and other issues. So that's what it would be to me, and I'm hoping that from what we've said so far that is what's coming through to you guys as well. So, there you go.
I don't know if I can add there. More candles.
I don't know enough candles.
I think you have a number of candles. The issue now is making sure that we move the candles to the point where they are usefully lighting the way. As I said, the level of investment that we need to put behind this effort, because we're talking about reducing a $1.2 billion cost of energy to the sector. And I'm not just talking about the import cost. I'm talking about the cost of moving around fossil fuel, the cost of generating electricity, so on and so forth, and fossil fuel and so on. So the critical thing for me is that we have to be able to get our partners on board in such a way that we bring the benefits that this sector the benefits that this sector can bring to such a point that we are adding to the economic output in this country. I think that really the rubber really hits the road, because if we have nice turbines up there and panels on roofs and whatnot, and there's no fundamental benefit coming, or people can't get the real benefit, they're still complaining about the electric bill. They have a high electric bill, or they still have a significant electric bill, or they still have significant costs of energy. Expectations are not meeting what we have said, or outcomes have not been meeting our expectations. Then I think that we would not be doing justice to the country and to the sector.
Mr. Griffin, you had a...
Let me congratulate the ministry in putting this together in conjunction with the Barbados Renewable Energy Association, because I think it's particularly important. Anyway, there are two key things that I thought would be useful in looking at, and I don't know if the document can address these things. They should be able to. In the first place, at Brea's inception, we talked about the importance of having energy clubs in schools. And to me that's key, because if you're talking about entrepreneurship, that's where you should be looking at, especially in secondary schools. And I believe that should be reflected, because we're talking about 35 years from now and all that kind of stuff. A lot of the people in secondary school, of course, will be out. But I think that renewable energy should be part of the curriculum. I speak from experience. When we started renewable energy in 1981, the ball was dropped by successive governments by 1985, and we did not go any further until Mark Hill and myself and Peter Gollop and Joe Kelvin started BREA. And I believe very strongly that we need, if we're going to talk about renewable energy and what it means to the economy, especially talking about 100%, you should be looking at getting into schools now with renewable energy. There are one or two schools I know. St. George Secondary has been involved and doing some stuff, and I believe that it will bear fruit. It will bear fruit. The other thing is, the last time we met, we talked about the importance of solar thermal energy. Okay, I don't know if it's included, hidden somewhere in the document, but understand this. Given the fact that we have the capability in Barbados since we started in 1976 with Solar Dynamics and South Sun Power in 1977, we should be looking at benefiting from that experience by having a special focus on solar thermal energy. Very, very important as far as I'm concerned. And I believe that given the fact that we need to look at earning foreign currency, we ought to be looking at how we can get the expertise in Barbados into the region to generate foreign exchange earnings and create jobs not only here, but also in the region. That's particularly important to me and to the country. So I would like to see a particular emphasis placed on solar thermal, and indeed to look at research, because I've talked with many people about the fact that, we have been building the same solar water heaters with old technology, and we have not been able to come up. I've been talking to experts about the importance of bringing a solar water heater, which is more efficient and which it would be more attractive in terms of consumption. I heard one or two of the companies in Barbados complaining about the impact of this NSRL on their business. But I believe by now, after 76, 41 years, we should have a more effective and efficient solar water heating equipment, and we should also be looking at the power that we have to go through the region and take advantage of the market. The other thing concomitant with that, I would like to think that, given the fact that RIA is the only NGO in the Eastern Caribbean. We are working very closely, and I got to thank the ministry for that. Now we are working more closely with the Division of Energy. But I think that we need to look at how we now in Barbados can look at expansion in the region, because we are first. We were number one at one point in the world. We were number 4 or 5, nothing gather. But we need to look at somewhere looking towards expansion in the region when it comes to the core question of solar thermal energy. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for that, Clyde. Yeah, actually, based on those comments and some you made before, we actually did go back and put back quite a bit in solar thermal, because I think you're right in terms of what that has meant for Barbados. And you can still look to see if there's any more that we can add. And also, we did look at the schools to the extent possible that we can have an impact into the curriculums. We had met with the Ministry of Education. They said they are limited to some extent, but we certainly have that in the policy, and so I thank you for those inputs.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. A quick question, might not be a quick answer, but to what extent has the policy or the relevant policies that we implemented has considered looking at energy efficiency to this point where some of the objectives needs to be implemented as mandatory policies. Energy efficiency really going right across any of the energy generation technologies. And I think in our environment is absolutely critical, to the point that I don't think we can leave it up to voluntary implementation of a lot of the initiatives if we are to achieve the target that we have to achieve. So has the policy contemplate looking at aspects of this as mandatory?
Yeah, it's a good question. Yeah, in terms of the policy, we haven't really looked at the whole mandatory aspect. I would see that as a bit more in terms of the plan. The way that I would look at this is that we first have to get those measurements there so that we can say, okay, this is what we're achieving, this is what we can achieve, and then set the target, and then after we set the target, then we can determine is that going to be a mandatory target or not. I would think that the considerations to whether to make it mandatory, part of it is whether we have the resources to enforce that, whether we have the resources in terms of the regulation. That is also part of the implementation plan. But at the moment, we haven't specifically said, okay, that we're looking at mandatory standards or that we are not looking at mandatory standards, but we're looking at the measurement now and then seeing how best those goals and objectives can be met. So that I would see as a discussion at the next stage. But from my perspective, if we can get these changes done in a way that the incentives are there, that the change of behavior will come, that would be ideal. But in the end, if that's not going to take us to the goals that we set, then that's something that we have to consider, and then we have to look at how to implement that.
Yeah, insofar, I think also that you would have mentioned in the policy about building codes, and insisting that energy efficiency becomes part of, that we establish a building code. I think that's one of the, that's one of the.
That's actually being worked on right now.
Right,
As part of that team.
Right.
It's still not mandatory.
But I'm not saying that is that we are speaking about making it mandatory, because in order to make it mandatory, it has to come into legislation or some piece of regulation, right? But what the policy does insist is that energy efficiency be established as part of the building codes.
Right, sorry for putting you under any pressure, but it is a very interesting question. And we would like to get, was the government's, or it was your view, I know it's all tainted about government, was your view in terms of how the country should approach energy efficiency? Should it be mandatory to achieve the objectives they want? Do we have to go mandatory, or do you think a voluntary approach over let's say 15, 20 years will achieve the objective? It's a good question.
Okay, I am going to. Right. My perspective on it is that you have to do a bit of both. It is a seatbelt law. You put certain, where possible, you apply the state, or where it makes sense, you apply the state. But by and large, it is something where we have to put emphasis on a collective or a interactive relationship between the regulatory framework and the population as well as the firm. We cannot expect, because you're dealing with some cultural issues as well, and it is not as simple effect where you are going to be able to say, do this, or you can say, do this or the consequence is this, and culturally, we will get Barbadians to act. But if we say, do this, or X will happen, and we know that Barbadians will resist it, or find a way around it, then yes, it's going to happen. So we have to be sensitive to those realities and those cultural issues. I mean, that is one of the things I remember discussing this. Is it this month? We had a meeting with that here, and the issue of efficiency and cultural issues are in terms of energy planning was very. And efficiency was keenly discussed, and the issue of cultural, how do you get persons to come into that sort of thinking, and it doesn't happen overnight. That is on short of it.
Yeah, I'd say from my perspective, I mean, mandatory standards is not necessarily the ideal in every case. The thing is that we have to make sure that you have that standard right too, because you still need to know what is economically possible. You don't want to put if you set the standard too high, then maybe it affects the economies that you're trying to help. If it's too low, then then people may just do what is required and not go further. So there is, I think, a place for also economic incentives in there, in order to be able to make sure that we keep that flexibility, because flexibility is still part of what we're looking at, this whole multi-criteria approach. So if we start with our philosophy too much going down in that mandatory road, it might not get us to where we want to. But there may be certain areas where, at least for certain areas where you want to have standards that at least are clear, so that the sector knows what it is expected to do or to achieve.
Okay.
But it's a discussion I'm sure will continue.
Yes, I'm not gonna push it much more. I wanted to say that the policy has pretty much set a path that we are going to take in terms of our energy mix. And once we have a large level of intermittency in there, I think that we have to have within the policy some planned steps that we're going to take, if not mandatory, if we don't achieve our energy efficiency targets, because they're not going to be just nice targets to have anymore. They're going to be critical targets to have. So we have to have some plan within the context of the policy. If they're not going to be mandatory aspects of it, what is the government going to do if they're not achieved? And the last thing that I will say and leave, not to flog this any further, but likewise, once we choose the path of having such large levels of intermittency in our energy mix, we are moving into a world where we have to accept that energy storage now becomes a dispatchable energy source. It will become part of our planning and strategy to the extent that it determines how much of that energy mix is going to be from biogas or biomass or whatever, based on the amount of intermittency that you have. You've got to have some number that you use for planning purposes so that you can determine the rest of the mix, both from policy and technical perspective. So that has to be looked at, in my estimation, a little more differently. It has to be looked at as an energy source, or there's not really an energy source.
Yeah, I guess we did talk about it a little bit in the presentation. I think is a good point. I mean, it would be an energy source, but I think we have there the role that it can play. And we can talk, Brian, about whether it's the mean feasible to put a number there at this stage, but it's certainly going to be a part again of the plan going forward. Again, it will change depending on whether we go more intermittent or more base load generation. So that's the technical part of it. But as it becomes, I think, a little bit clearer as we go on, then it will become obvious, I think, well before the need to put it in, what is the capacity of storage that we will need, and then we can make that be a part going forward.
Good morning. My name is John Marcocchio. I'm with Caribbean Clean Energy Program, CARSEP. For you, any of you that don't know what CARSEP is, it's a USAID-sponsored project. It's 5 years, where our objective is to reduce fossil fuel consumption throughout the Caribbean region. We work in OECS countries, Barbados and Jamaica. I just had the opportunity just this last week to actually review the document for the first time. So I want to apologize, because I'm sure some of the things I'm going to bring up have been discussed already and debated. But these are concerns that I just have, and I said comments and suggestions, and just wanted to share them with the group to make sure they're being considered. I think the objective of developing this policy is fantastic, and it should be approached. And I think we should do our best to try to get it as good as we can get it. So I'm going to just start off as I have a number of comments and questions that I've just picked up from the document. And again, I'll apologize for the fact that this has probably been, some of these have been dealt with in previous fora. And I want to start off with the multi-criteria approach. I think this is a very good and very important. And what I went looking for in the document was some kind of weighting system to assess those criteria, and I didn't find it. So I'm just wondering if it exists, because I think the weighting criteria is going to impact very significantly on the decision-making process and what comes out at the end of the day about being good and bad and right and wrong and objectives you want to follow or not.
Yeah, okay, Yeah, it's a good point. It was actually something that we considered in doing the policy. And we talked to stakeholders as to weighting or to at least ranking the different priorities. We decided at the end not to go that route, in that we thought that for different stakeholders, each of them was important, but we recognize, okay, at least the policy would give a basis that you have to consider all of these perspectives. Depending on what you're looking at, it may be that one or the others will take precedence over one of the others in terms of ranking. But we thought that is something that can more be dealt with as we go along. But it was considered, but then we thought that given that we would unlikely to get consensus in the group on that let's just put these forward. These are the 7 areas that we're looking at. These are the objectives, and then as we go along, perhaps we can develop a more mathematical model around it, or weighted system. But it was looked at.
I just want to suggest that I think that's a very critical point, and the weighting is critical. You have an objective of developing this policy, and so I think the weighting criteria has to favor that objective and those objectives. So I think it's very important to come up with good decisions, that decision get made. And I accept the fact that it's a challenging exercise, which is why I went looking for it. So
Yeah,
I think it's a very good idea.
I think that going forward, we can look at that.
The next question I have is just a matter of consistency, really, and I want, as I said, this process to succeed. So I was really surprised to see natural gas listed as a renewable energy fuel. And I went and I asked a number of my colleagues if anybody had ever referenced, they'd seen a reference of gas as a renewable energy source. And I haven't, and nobody I spoke to has. And I said, I think this is a question of consistency, because this is a document that's going to be looked at globally, right? And I think people want Barbados energy policy to be taken seriously. So I'm just curious. I mean, I fully appreciate natural gas as a bridge fuel, and the fact that it's a right way to go as an interim measure, no arguments with that at all. And I see that as a good implementation strategy. But to reference it as a renewable energy, I'm concerned that people will dismiss the whole effort here by doing that.
Yeah, it is a good point, and it's something that I was uncomfortable with myself in a sense. And we looked at what to call it. We looked at it sort of as clean energy fuels or whatever. But I certainly...
Sorry, normally it's just referred to as a bridging technology.
Or we can,
and that makes sense. It's a bridge. You're going to get rid of nasty things as quickly as we can.
Yeah, I guess we could define it as bridging technology.
In the right direction.
If people are clear, I mean, as we describe it as but yeah, maybe as a definition. I think there's one point that we have renewable in inverted commas. It doesn't quite.
No, and this is referenced in a global scale, right? In a global form.
No, I think the point is taken. I think we can. That's something that we can. Well,
you know what the suspicion is, right? Well, the suspicion is that you want to make a presentation to make certain statements that may or may not be true. So people then dismiss it when you use that kind of stuff, pop stuff, you know. So
no, we didn't have a bridging, but I think maybe in one of the graph or in the table we might have, like for short, it might have said renewable in inverted commas or something like that. But generally we haven't defined that, but it might be. We could look at it again to see, but obviously that's the impression that's coming through that it is a renewal, then we can...
It's stated in the document over and over again, and it's as classified, even in the charts it's classified under the renewable side of the... So I think it's pretty...
Yeah, we define that as renewable and clean fuels, but yeah, I think the point. I think we can look back and see, you know, it's renewable and clean. Renewable and clean, yeah, it's like renewable plus. Renewable plus clean, but we can look at it, yeah.
No, I'll tell you when I read that, I said, well, if natural gas is renewable, then coal is renewable too. So it's like, what's the difference? It's just a couple of years.
I think just that we put the two in the same category, and then so maybe you see it as renewable, and we can look and see how that.
As was mentioned this morning earlier, mentioned earlier about energy efficiency being the least cost alternative and demand side management. Also, I'm in strong agreement with that. And one of the ways to both encourage that and to maximize the adoption and integration of renewables into the utility grid is developing a smart grid. And I saw one reference in the document, way late in the document, about smart grid. Smart grid is very critical to our ability to integrate renewables because of their intermittency. And CARICOM is doing a lot of work with smart grid, and Barbados is participating. We had a workshop here last June. And I think that whole process needs to be emphasized and pushed, because to be able to develop the grid's utility to integrate renewables, I think is very critical. So that whole process of smart grid integration, and development of smart grids, I think is very important. Next little point I want to make, there's reference to CSERM targets by the throughout the region, and Barbados being related to it as well. In my experience, what I've found in the last 2 or 3 years is that all of those stated CSERM targets are being exceeded by most countries. And even Barbados has exceeded their initial terms. So Jamaica has, St. Lucia has, I think Aruba has as well. So referencing CSERM targets, again, puts us in the lower end of the scale in terms of wanting to achieve renewable energies, because we're going way beyond that now. The whole issue of storage that was mentioned earlier, I think is a very critical issue as well. It's becoming a game changer, as was mentioned earlier. And I have a lot of concern about this particular element myself, because the utilities and the tariffs being offered for distributed generation, there's been decades of debate about it. And up until now, some of us have gotten it right and some of us have gotten it wrong, and mostly the private investors have not been happy, except on a few occasions. But the reason I say it's a game changer is I think it's absolutely imperative that the utility stays strong and profitable. And if we don't make sure that the utility stays strong and profitable, the entire country is going to suffer tremendously. So the game changer is the fact that if we don't get the tariff right, energy storage is now becoming a viable option. And so you're going to encourage people to get off the grid. And that's not what we want to do, because that's going to be bad for the entire country, for reasons that we've all discussed on many occasions. So I don't want to get into all of that. So I think that's very critical, and that's something that should be also discussed in that, and it should be part of that policy, as well as getting the tariff rate right. I think it's very critical. And along that, the same discussion is that there's no reference to the utility revenue model changing. Revenues cannot be only selling electrons and pushing them down a pipe. That's history. It's like, pre-internet days. So the revenue models for the utility to stay strong and healthy have to change, and their ability to make money has to become a much more dynamic, much more interesting model, including ESCOs, energy saving models, and demand side management getting involved in all of that so they stay healthy and strong. So I would love to see more of that, those elements also discussed in the policy as well, I think, because it's very critical. I'm going to wrap it up there because I've got some other ideas, but I don't want to take up too much time. And there was a call for assistance. CARCEP is operating all through the Caribbean and in Jamaica. And if there's any, we have legal people, legal minds, technical minds, regulators, and people working in tourism as well. So if there's any assistance that we could offer in this process, I know it's late in the day, but we'll be happy to participate and help out. Clive and Misha knows how to find us.
No, thanks a lot. That's very, very good, very useful. Glad to have.
Thank you for your
to have this team. Thanks a lot.
John, just want to thank you for some of those comments, and those are actually some of the issues that have been on the radar here for some time. And I think particularly the issue where you spoke about the utilities business model, I think this was a very heated discussion that came up 5 years ago during the inaugural integrated resources planning exercise that the utility conducted in 2012. So it is an issue that we're conscious of. And I think there were some issues raised in even some of the comments submitted in relation to the draft. So it's not an issue that is missing, but it is definitely something that we need to keep discussing, and I'm wearing the full Greer hat here in terms of trying as best to influence this document, through this policy document, those messages so that the actual policy makers can understand the relevance of these issues, particularly now that there are issues concerning the prospective extension or renewal of the utilities license. I think the whole question of what a newly licensed utility would look like from a business perspective is one of the critical decisions and issues we have to deal with, even transcending beyond the 20-year timeline for this policy. I think in terms of time, we can probably squeeze maybe just 2 more quick questions in before we do the wrap up. I think Mark Hill had a question. And Mark, I think you just identified yourself. Dave, I'll start you in 3 questions if you can keep them quickly so that we can wrap up on time before we get evicted. So Mark Hill.
All right, good afternoon, everybody. First, I just want to make it clear that natural gas can have 2 different perspectives there. We can have renewable natural gas, right, which is based on biomethane, and that is predominantly, I believe, what we're referring to, and the natural gas that can be a bridge, over the rough waters between here. But I think, based on my dialogue with Brian and so far, that we're speaking more about renewable natural gas and biomethane as the renewable. So I just wanted to clarify that in terms of going forward. So we will make that clarification in the document. Renewable natural gas or biomethane / 1 or 2.
Yeah, we have both of them.
Yeah. So in terms of the whole 100% strategy, I really think that we got to think outside the box and not necessarily just follow the narratives and of the international market. But we have to recognize that our island context plays a significant role in how our renewable energy matrix will look. Right? The fact that we are an ocean economy, that has to come into play in a big way. Whether it be that we're using resources from the ocean to feed into from some sort of biotechnology process, but that has to be on the tables at some point in time. And also to how we integrate the whole waste streams from agriculture and how we integrate the agricultural process as the bedrock for the whole renewable energy sector. So I just think that we just need to be a little bit more open to some of these other innovations, across the road. And then finally, I think that the trap of thinking green economy, I think that that's a trap. It is part of the international rhetoric. I think we need to move away from it. I think we need to look more at what we call a circular economy. Because a green economy, you end up spending a whole bunch of funds on what we call a merchandise model. All we're doing is creating a bunch of green merchants that import technology and sell technology. Same thing that's happening in town, bringing fabric, dresses and shoes and sell shoes. So therefore, my concern is that the policy as it is, unless we really think outside the box, is really the next step for the merchants. And so therefore we need to You understand what I remember? By merchants, buyers and sellers.
I know they consumer.
Yeah, right? Correct. And then the other thing is, how does the policy on the girl support innovation? And research and development. What is there in the policy that encourages research and development companies in the area of biotechnologies and different form of innovations to either want to set up in Barbados? So therefore, when we're just talking about meeting 100%, and it's just an idea of getting as much panels on roofs as possible and meeting the base load and meeting peak demand, I think we missed the point. Can we not create a policy that attracts some of the top companies across the world that is in the renewable energy sector today? Barbados is hub for research and development.
I hear you.
So if we're not there, all we're just doing is taking class and putting it on a little wound. And so I just think that this needs to be a little bit broader, more creative, more innovative outlook on when we use the word policy and what's the goal of the policy, and not just try to just patch a problem. Yeah? So let's just say,
So you're saying that not just getting 100%, it's how you get in it, because you want to be able to get that Barbados part in it, you want to get that research and development here, you want to get innovation here.
Yeah,
we have
because 100% simply means that you just save. 100% doesn't mean we're growing.
Yeah.
Right, yeah, and that's part of the model.
So by 2050, how do we grow the economy, which means we need to have 200% renewables as opposed to 100%. Because you got to get the productive sector back up, you got to get the light goods back up, you got to get. So therefore, 100% is not a good target. We need 200%. Speaking of Brian, and they were telling me a percentage for biomethane. I said double it. Because if I double it, because we need a market. 100% is not a market, especially if you're shrinking the grid down to 100 megawatts through energy efficiency. Then you only need 100 megawatts in market. And we're going to reach it in 10 years, 20 years. So then the sector is over. You know, so we need to start to think about where we're going to bring
the two together.
Mark, I think Mark, you're pretty much preaching to the choir, and I think those are issues on the radar. At the implementation stage, I think as Brian and David promised, there will have to be some more interaction where we actually refine. So I think that's probably something over the next couple of days that we can make sure once the actual document is circulated that we can see that those messages are properly contained. But I don't think there's no disagreement with what you've put forward there.
Mark Jerm, thank you, Chair. I'm Mark Jerm, Ministry of Transport Works. And I hope the next time we see a drafted document, some of the comments we've heard here today are reflected in the document. I think that's some good, very good comments. From a Ministry of Transport and Works perspective, we think, and we heard they've been talking about not waiting, right? No waiting priorities or whatever, but I think in terms of the transport sector, it's a big sector, it's 33% of your fuel use. I mean, you don't need a weight to put to that. I also think we would have submitted this. We also need to have an understanding of what makes up a transport sector, from the individual person owning their personal vehicle, the business owning the van, the gas stations, infrastructure. Because ideally, what the policy is trying to do is to move us away from that. Until understand how that is defined, we don't have an idea of what we're moving away from and how we're going to get to where we want to get. And the objectives, everything is fine, but I just think that in terms of our understanding of how the components of energy use is defined in the transport sector is critical in the policy document, especially in giving a sense of where you've created the policies and where you're moving to energy use, energy distribution, looking at the censuses and seeing the type of population distributions around Barbados, and therefore what kind of strategies best work. Is 20 years. So we're going to be judged on the success of this in 20 years' time. We want to look back and say, we had an idea of what the environment was at the time, and we made policies reflecting that environment. 114 registered cars in Barbados. Most of them only 100,000, 14,000 cars. That's registered, about 150,000 on the road. Most of them, only 100 of them maybe just using EVs, 100 out of that. So we're going to be asking people who have bank loans, businesses who have loans again, we're asking them to transition. So we think for the transport sector, we need to have an idea of this big picture and then set these strategies are put there, we know what we're moving from. And there's some kind of interim platform that you say, okay, in 5 years time we want to this, so we see the movement, we can see it and judge ourselves against what we're
Yeah,
doing.
the plan will deal with some of it, but maybe, I mean, in the introduction and talking about the transport sector, one or two of those things, I think you're saying that maybe one or two more, if I'm hearing you right, you're saying that one or two more really statements there that suggest a little bit more of of what the sector is like today and what direction is going, what we anticipate as a sort of the framework for what comes later. I mean, I do have some of that there, but maybe there's more that, if you can help in terms of.
Yeah, because we're dealing with
But that's
people.
specific.
This is 20 years, so I'll be 60, I'll be 60. Hopefully I have an electric car, but there's a whole transition between now and then of us here.
Point taken here, I think we can.
Can I just, sorry, just maybe a few words on behalf of the utility. So, Dave McGregor from Emera and therefore Barbados Line and Power. Barbados Line and Power fully in support of the policy. Some great work. Thanks for listening. Last time around, the document has improved significantly since we saw the last revision, I think, a couple of months ago. So thank you for that. Line and Power fully supportive of the policy. A couple of candles, I think William's gone. A couple of the candles I think that are missing, or the sort of unspoken word here, are Professor Holmeyer's body of work, which will, I think, complement this work. We need to make sure those two join together. And the FTC on the implementation of this work. And I think we need to pool those elements together to make it all work. Just a couple of comments on the natural gas. Like John, you're absolutely right. I think Mark, I'm not sure, sincerely, they did not mean importing natural gas. I think importing natural gas is still part of the plan. I would like to go on record saying we don't think it's needed as a transition fuel. Solar and storage is at the price point now where it works. So let's not go down the transition path that isn't needed, sincerely. And Smart Grid, Line and Power have already committed $45 million to Smart Grid here in Barbados. So I think we're, with or without policy, Smart Grid will happen here. It is a foundation to allow us to do the 100% vision. We can't do it without it. We can't do it without Smart Grid, we can't do it without storage, and we can't do it without electric vehicles. So I think the policy is a great start. Let's just make sure we implement, and I'd be glad to join any working groups required to make this a reality.
Final comment from
Carl Simpson, Barbados Canadian Corporation. Mine related to the issue of Professor Holmeyer's integrated work, and also policy coherence, where you have a number of policy areas being looked at. The Tony Kachipanin is currently revising its development plan. How is there coherence with what is being proposed there, with what is here? Because, for example, the wind energy issue, is that something which is being highlighted sufficiently? Because it's a regulatory issue which will, in fact, the ability of what we're saying to be achieved. Right? So we need to also look beyond our own space at the wider coherence of policy.
Thank you for your participation. The door for comments is now closed. You can contact Ms. Misha Clark in the back through Bria, the Executive Director, if you have any further comments or input in today's presentation that you would want to make. Do funnel it to us, and we will be able to incorporate that in the notes and comments that will be recorded here today. Now, we're at 12 o'clock, we're 10 minutes beyond our wrap-up point, but I just want us to try and close proceedings as set out on the agenda. And at this stage, I'll just ask Mr. Brian Haynes to provide some closing comments for us before we go into the vote of thanks immediately by Mr. Griffin.
Yes, you can do it. I have permission to sit and do it from here. I believe everyone can see me. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I first want to say a big thank you for your inputs and for your honest inputs. That is always an important factor in these exercises. We have, this work would have started back in 2000, well, we go as far back as 2010, as the PS had mentioned. But when we reviewed the previous sustainable energy policy, we thought that there was need for revision and for revisiting certain issues that and certain assumptions that were made in that earlier draft, and to make it more consistent with the realities that we were observing on the ground in Barbados. And indeed, certain work with relation to synergizing the electricity market with the renewable energy sector was indeed one of the critical issues. The work that we have culminated with is that at this juncture, let me just put it that at this juncture, is that we want to have some clear objectives and broad measures at which we can start the work of implementation. The next steps, of course, PS has put a significant task on us by the end of this, by the end of August, that he wants the policy before the cabinet Barbados. I didn't believe we could make that right, David? Okay. So we expect that by the end of this month, by the end of August, that we should be able to have, hopefully we will have something before the cabinet for consideration for approval. But the work hasn't ended. I mean, we know really have to get our shirts wet and to really go into the action, making it a reality, applying it to law, applying it to the regulations, putting the standards in place, and probably establishing a few additional institutions to help deal with this work. So at the end of the day, we are talking now to moving from policy to implementation. That is really where this work really will mean something for us and for Barbados as a whole, because we are basically speaking of moving this island from spending significant foreign exchange to produce energy to one where we are using a significant amount of our local resources and keeping our foreign exchange in the country to use for other critical issues. I believe that this sector will be as critical to the development of Barbados in the future as education was in the 1960s, and the collective approach to how education was addressed in the 1960s. I believe this approach now will propel Barbados now into a realm where we can now become a more sustainable island. We will be using more of our local resources and to have contribute to Barbados in such a way that we are more or less propelling the country to be a significant player within the region. The critical thing that I want to leave with you is that, and David always made that point, is that this cannot happen. This work cannot happen without the collaboration. He makes a point that if you don't have a collaborative approach, to the development of energy, renewable energy and energy sustainability in Barbados, that we will not succeed. And I would like us all to prepare ourselves for not just the difficult work ahead, but to have the staying power and the longevity to push this very important work. And not only for my pension and your pensions in the future, as Mark said, that he will be 60 in another 20 years, but this has the potential to raise the levels in this country. And with that, I want to say to you, and to leave you, that we have to collaborate, we have to work together. Without that, we can't make a full measure of this work. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Mr. James. Now have the closing remarks from Mr. Griffith.
All right, good midday. As is my way, I always like to encourage people after sitting so long to just get up and stretch. You know, you should get up and stretch. We've gone through a lot today. You don't want to get up, it's fine. I encourage you to get up and stretch. Very, very important. I'm glad that the chairman, my friend Ada Rogers, has said closing remarks. I saw a vote of thanks, you know, and a vote of thanks could take me 2 days. And I'm asked to do this in 5 minutes. Boy, let me tell you something. But I want to recognize the fact that this is a collaborative effort between BREA and the Division of Energy. And we have come a long way. I was there here at the creation of BREA, along with my friend Mark Hill. But look what's happened. We have now reached the point where the Division of Energy and us are working in a collaborative effort. And they have us at the table. I want to recognize the vision and the work of the Division of Energy, led by the Permanent Secretary, Mr. Jehu Wiltshire. And I want you to stand and take a bow. And I want the entire Division of Energy to stand and take a bow.
Thank you, Mr. Griffith.
It has not been easy. He can tell you, Mr. Jehu can tell you how much pressure I was putting on him for the past 4.5 years to get to this point. And when I heard him in the last meeting, he had said, you're going to meet monthly. I said, well, I can die now. Because at one point, we couldn't even get in the door. So I want to thank you especially, Mr. PS, for that effort and for ensuring that we are at the table with you. I really want to thank you. I want to thank, we have some board members of BREA here. I want to recognize them. I want you to stand. Board members of BREA, there's some of them here. Don't be ashamed. Y'all ashamed to take credit for something you do good. It's a shame. Even the president, a man for whom I have great love and admiration. And I feel good because, you know, I am going and they're all coming. And that's the important thing. I also want to thank all of the people who made a contribution to this effort today. This is something that we must feel proud about, that we can have this interaction at this time and have quality inputs to make sure that we have a coherent national energy policy. We've been fighting with this for the longest time, and now we can see the light at the end of the tunnel. And I particularly want to credit Dr. David Ince. I mean, he's a generation away from me. I know his parents very well, and they've really, really invested in a product that has turned out very, very well. Dr. David Ince, take a bow. And the members, I want to recognize Mr. James Paul, who's the voice of agriculture in this country. And we want to assure you, sir, that Bria is working on agricultural products, and we want to make sure that you benefit.
Plenty.
Yeah, plenty. We have a project that we're going to unleash just now within Bria that will make you feel very proud of the organization. And the last, but no, I've got to recognize John Marcosio. John is involved in a program called CARSEP, as I told you. I remember I was in the meeting in St. Thomas, Virgin Islands, when the Biden initiative was talked about, Joe Biden, former vice president, and the document that came out, when I saw it, I said, but Bria is way ahead of all the things that he's promoting in this document. And that's why we felt committed that we must go regional to help the other Caribbean countries. We're still offering that on the table because we are way ahead. Believe it or not, we are way ahead. And I'm glad that we have the ability to go and help the other Caribbean countries. It's very, very important for the region for many, many, many reasons. And there's a lady I want to recognize, last of all. Come up here, lady, First Lady. Come, you come here, yeah. Come. This lady, come up here, let them see you. You're ashamed, you're a pretty woman like you.
She's not the president's first lady.
She's not the first lady of this president. She's somebody else's, but she's our first lady. From January this year until now, she has carried the Barbados Renewable Energy Association to where it is today. We are involved with so many projects. And I keep saying this year, she's worth her weight in gold. First class and bright for days. As a matter of fact, I can say that because she was one of my students at KFL. So I feel proud of the fact that I'm associated with her. Very, very proud of that fact. But I particularly want to thank all of you. We need to thank Marriott. I want to particularly thank Mark Hill, who initiated the work that we are doing in Bria. He was one of the founder members with me and two others. But we want to say thank you, thank you, thank you, and thank you for participating so wonderfully. Have a good afternoon.
On that powerful note, everyone, that concludes today's session. As I said, you've seen Ms. Clark here. You can get our contact information if you need to forward any further comments. Thank you very much.